Hi everyone, and welcome to Heartcraftpaper. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today I have a special image that I'm going to be coloring that comes straight from my shop. The image is called Harold. Let's start with our skin tone. We're going to make it nice, sunny, and bright. Let's start with E'0. This is going to be our base color. This is going to be the lightest color that you're going to use. I'm going to fill in the entire area of skin with this color and dab in specific areas so that I don't smudge the printer ink. Using E'01, I'm going to start to bring in some shadows. I don't want to go too dark with this image since he's supposedly in the sun. I'm going to darken up the shadow line by using E'21, and this will be my mid-tone. Once you have your colors all laid out, you're going to go ahead and blend. So I'm going to start with the lightest and start blending and bring in some more color once again and blend those out, touching up a few places that I might have missed. I waited a couple of seconds for the alcohol ink to dry before I started drawing the scar in with E'13, otherwise it would bleed out. Now it's time to break out my Prismacolors. Using PC 1080, I'm going to start to darken up these shadows. Next, I'm going to blend it out using PC 140 in order to get all my coloring right and the shadowing just perfect. I'm going to go back and forth between the two. Let's get started on the cape. I'm going to start with my base coat, and this is going to be R'0. This is one of the lightest reds. Using a light tone R14, I'm going to begin to make my shadows and my highlights. I create my highlights by allowing the R'0 to show through. This would be the areas in which the sun would cast and hit first. I'm going to define the shadows by using R29. These are the areas in which I would find folds and creases. I'm going to build upon my shadows and enrich in that color by using R89. Just to make them a little bit more deeper. Once I'm done with this, I'll go back and blend this out starting with my mid-tone, R29, and then I'll continue with R14. I came back and resaturated the light areas with R'0. This way, when I lay down the R14, it blends out to a very nice light red, the perfect tone. Now I'm going to add even more detail to the shadows using PC 925 and PC 937. This will give it a bold look. I felt this needed some more blending, so I came back in with my other Copic markers and went back over until I felt comfortable with how well this looked. I came back in with PC 937 in order to darken up these areas a little bit more, and then I came in with PC 935 or black to really give it the detail and the final touches. Now it's time to work the undercape. Because there's such little light that hits the underside of the cape, my lightest color is R39. Time to cast some shadows using R89. This would be along the body and closer towards the edge where the cape would fold over. Now using RV99 or eggplant, I came in and added some more detailing on the shadows and then blended that back out. For the hood, I repeated the process as the outer side of the cape, utilizing the same exact colors. It's time to get the hair going. I began by using E13. This is my base color for the whole head. I came in with E15 as a midtone all along the outside edges and where the hairline would be towards the center, leaving a swatch of E13 to show through. Now using my PC945, my Prismacolors, I came in and detailed the strands. Again, I started from the hairline inward and from the outer side inward. I created more hair definition by bringing in PC946 and adding in some short strands and then extending a few here and there from the hairline inward and from the out inward. Alright, let's get some clothes on this little guy. We're going to start with a gold tone, Y15, and this is going to be my base color. Alright, let's create some movement in this fabric by bringing in YR23. We're going to start to build on our shadows. Once I get the areas that would have the least amount of light, I'm going to blend these out back again with Y15. I'll then use my Prismacolor pencils, and we'll start with PC 1043 to make those shadows a little bit stronger and more bolder. We're going to define these shadows with PC 946. I'm going to go back and forth between all these colors until I get the blending just the way that I want it. The one thing I like about using my color pencils along with my Copic markers is the fact that it makes the transition of color so much easier. My blending becomes easier because I don't have to worry about those white spaces in those peaks and valleys of the paper, or the tooth of the paper if you like to call it. As we move along in our coloring and we're coming in with our shadows, I want you to pay close attention to the areas that would have the least amount of light. These would be these folds and creases that are already on the clothing, or you can create some of your own as well. But make sure that Y23 and these darker colors saturate those areas to create those shadows and make more depth and movement in the fabric. Using PC935, which is black, I'm going to bring out the depth of these shadows and really make them stand out. Alright, let's work the trim on the shirt. We're going to use the same colors that we used for the cape. We'll also use the same logic of lights and shadows for this, just so that way it gives the fabric a little bit more depth. What I like to remind people of is the fact that black is a part of the color spectrum. Don't be afraid to use it when you're using shadows and transitioning of colors, because that black, when you look at things, is there, as is white. We're almost on the final leg. So right now we're going to start working on the undershirt as well as the pants. We're going to start off with our base color E31. This is the color that we utilize for blending as well as covering the whole entire section that we want for this particular color spectrum. We're going to use E35 in order to cast some shadows, and then we'll blend those back out with E31 again. I'm going to use my Prismacolor in order to darken up some of these shadows here. I'm going to use PC943 and then blend those back out with E31. Once again, I'm bringing in some black. This will help define those shadows even further. And as you can see, regardless of the spectrum of colors that I'm using, black and white are always there. I'm going to work the pants now, starting with the base color C4. I wanted to make these black pants, so I'm going to start with my spectrum of grays. Let's add in some darker tones with C7 as our mid-tone, and this will be where the shadows and where the least amount of light is going. Here comes my black Prismacolor. I think by now this is my favorite pencil. Go back and forth between these colors until I get the shading and the coloring just the way that I like it. Using the same color as the undershirt, I'm going to work the overpants. I'm now going to work on the shin guards and the forearm protectors. We're going to start with the base of E17. This will go around the padding. Once I have my areas all filled in, I'm going to start creating my shadows using E29. Next, I'll bring in my Prismacolor, and that will be PC947. Again, I'll go back and forth between all these colors until I feel comfortable with the shading and shadows that I like. I'm going to make the padding this golden color that we have going on in the shirt. So I'm going to start by utilizing Y23 to start with my shadows. I'm kind of going in reverse with this. And then I'm going to bring in Y15 just to blend that out. Again, we're going to use the same exact colors that we did for the shirts. The shoes are pretty basic. We're going to start off with E35 as a base, or the color that will fill in the whole entire area. Our shadows will start with E15. We'll draw that out a little bit with PC946. And then for the soles, we're also going to use PC947. It's time for the golden snitch. I'm going to bring out my yellows. I'm going to start with Y11 since that is a very light yellow. This will be the shiniest part of my snitch. We'll bring in Y15 to start darkening in those areas, and Y23 for shadows. We'll blend these out again with Y11. Now we're moving on to the flame broomstick, and this is the final piece of our image. For the broomstick itself, I'm going to start with the base of E17. I'll start to fill in some shadows and lines with PC946. This will be some of those details and lines that you find naturally in wood or the grains. And then I'll add in some details with PC947 for my black. We're going to start on the broom itself utilizing E35, which is a darker shade of beige. I'm going to add in some fine details and strands utilizing my Prismacolors, and these would be the same colors that I would use for the padding and the pants. Now be mindful, I leave a swatch of light color towards the center, and then I also bring in some black in order to add more detail and depth. And here you have it, Harry Potter, nice and neat. Thanks for watching Heartcraftpaper. Visit the shop at www.heartcraftpaper.com. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.